Hello, how are you doing? I hope you're having an amazing, wonderful, beautiful day. I want to share with you that you are a genius, you are special, you mean the world, and you are loved. Today's topic is the living death. So, whenever we live through life, for a good majority of it in our youth, for the most part, we live blind to the fact that we could be conscious. And then comes a very transformative and amazing night where we realize that we can be conscious. And things just start to click, right? All those memories of our parents saying, you got to think before you speak, you must think before you do your actions. And beyond that, when we think about imagination, now we see that all these little things that have always been talked about, we can actually consciously do. And life just starts to make a little bit more sense. So we keep on living and we're in this limbo to think consciously to not think consciously. I'll share with you that in my journey in the beginning, I was very stubborn to this new realization that I could be conscious, and I decided to keep living life the very same way. I decided to keep living life through affecting it just by my physical body. Well, how is this done? If I'm not using my higher faculties, whether it be the brain to create thought, numbers, imagination, third eye, or living through the heart, that means I am limiting myself. This means I am simply living life utilizing my body. So, along my journey, I went through the different facets of life. The paradigm of to not think is to think. And then the intermediate phase where in that phase I would wake up and go to sleep repeating one word, love. And then I realized that I wasn't receiving, I wasn't building the life that I wanted. So I went back. I went back to the paradigm of to not think is to best think. And fortunately for me, the universe pulled me into, my heart pulled me into itself and showed me how to live through the heart. Living through the heart, the best way to describe it is, let's take the person that's an intermediate thinker. That, for example, myself, when I was repeating one word, love. We can all agree that there is a lapse of time between each love where I am silent. So to live through the heart is to fill in those little gaps. So now you're constantly sending out a signal throughout your whole day. And whenever I got into this life, it became very obvious that we are living our death. We are living, but we're also dying at the same time. So death is something that we oftentimes don't look at, don't think about. I know before I was conscious of the fact that I could be conscious, death was a reality. Nevertheless, I never thought about it. I didn't even like associate anything to it. I mean, maybe like most of us, we don't have much thought before being conscious of such possibilities. But then beyond that, I really started to open up my mind and think like, well, what is the best way to live my life? Should I worry about it? What am I doing? Am I getting closer to it? If I do this, am I getting closer? If I don't do this, am I getting further? So I believe in any journey. It doesn't have to be spiritual. Because if you don't associate with spiritual words, if you think that I'm a tree hugger and just meditate all day, and well, we leave on the table the fact that we are a multidimensional being, and if you want proof of this, we have thoughts, right? Just one little dimension, thoughts. Well, that's like smoke in the air. Thoughts, you can't grab onto them, you can't put them in the box. Thoughts are as much smoke and air as smoke is smoke. And then we have the most dense aspect of ourselves, which is the body, right? This thing that you see in front of you, it's the most dense version of me. So simply taking these two different worlds, our emotions, we can add to the side of non-physical, the things that we see, like the light. All of these different aspects of ourselves are non-physical. So whether or not you believe in a higher power, in God, spirituality, karma, the unified quantum field, you're still alive. You still have skin. So as long as you have skin, that means you have the, on the flip side, you have the, I'm just lost of words. But basically, we find space. We find empty space. We look at our atoms. First we look at ourselves. We go deeper. We look into what makes them. So we see their atoms. And we are as much empty space as we are physical. And science says that we are a lot more like not physical, then the illusion of being physical. So what does this mean? We have to understand life. We must acknowledge what we are, not because of a spiritual book or a spiritual person or a text, but simply the science. We are energy, constantly in vibration. And when there's energy, there's a non-physical aspect. And what does this do? How does this change your life? Well, whenever I started living through the heart, I started thinking like, this is the only life I have. So I have to, I want to, I don't have to. I wasn't doing this before, but I decided when I started living through the heart that, you know what, I'm going to make this life the best that I can. And if that means go bar hopping on Saturdays, hey, then do what you think is going to be the best life. And the best way that I found to live my life, knowing that it is limited, acknowledging that I am an infinite being, but this infinite being isn't going to look and be in the same form for infinity. To say that it's going to change. I'll be in a physical body and my energy goes back to the bigger, greater universal quantum field. So while I have this body, I want to do the best that I can. So what does this mean? You must write your own belief system because death is around the corner, you know? And I hate to put it like that, but I mean, quite honestly, even myself that is empowered, I'm consciously creating an elevated emotion. I'm an alchemist. I'm a magician. I don't let my external world dictate my internal state. I consciously affect my biochemistry. I don't know what's going to happen. I could step out tomorrow and get hit by a truck. And what? You're going to say, oh, well, look at him. He was living through the heart and he died. Well, we all are. Our family members are. But how amazing is the fact that you know you have a limited time. The way I look at this living death that is our life, because every second we're living, we have just died another second. Those are facts. There's nothing we can do to change that. So, having accepted this reality, I want every interaction with my external world to reflect the amazing feelings that I'm creating inside. Every sensation. My guru says, whenever you are living in a place of oneness, whenever your mental and emotional state is under your power, you don't no longer think about racism or should I not do this to this person, should I do this to this person, good or bad. What you realize is, wow, I feel so amazing inside. I feel so happy, so loved. And the only thing you want to do is express that, transmute that energy with being watchful of your tone, being careful of your actions, the words you speak, how you treat others. This is the living death for me. My life, we can say life is living death. Is if you're living, you're also dying. Every second of life is attached to death. So how are we going to take this reality? What are we going to do with the limited time we have? Well, I've realized that I am an instrument for myself. And if I don't take charge of my instruments are going to be governed by external forces, not consciously. That's just the mechanism, that's how the universe works. Every energy has to be consumed by something. So that is to say, if I'm not creating my thoughts, then there is going to be an energy in the unified quantum field that's going to be creating my thoughts. If I'm not creating my emotions consciously, which we can do, I understand that it sounds very foreign, it sounds very hippie, but it is a reality. And once we start doing, if we're not doing it, excuse me, then that means our external world, external forces are governing our emotional state. So that's my message today, to acknowledge that life is every second of life is also another second of death. And once you realize that, how amazing, how conscious do you want to be? How much of life do you want to grab? I decided to grab as much as I can to make myself feel right now empowered, love, happiness, bliss, and ecstasy. And this is reality for you as well. I hope you've liked this video, hope it empowers you to become your greatest version, and I ask that you comment below. What are your thoughts around death? What are your thoughts about living? Do you fear death? Do you fear living? And also share with me topics that you'd like for me to cover in the future. I'd love to get to it, and I hope to see you in the side of light. Goodbye.